Hello, Sunny Banani, and hey, it's your girl Busi here, and today I'll be bringing you a video which tells you the countries that a person with a South African passport can visit without a visa. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So these would be countries which are visa-free, which means you don't have to apply at all for a visa, and when you get there you just have to kind of meet the requirements that each of the country's customs provides, and then you can just kind of waltz right in after customs. They say it's visa free, but you still, have to go through a pretty grueling process. Before I traveled, I basically knew nothing about visas, or I just assumed that when you're traveling you need a visa. I mean, the first time I left the country was in January of 2017, and before leaving the country I just knew I needed a passport, and I knew I probably needed visas for going to places, but I didn't really know like which places required a visa. So the first time I traveled, I went to Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. And at the border between South Africa and Botswana, it finally like hit me. I was like, oh, do I need a visa? And I knew that there was some sort of agreement between the SADC countries with kind of movement and travel, but I wasn't really sure what it was, so I was kind of freaking out a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to pay? Like, what happens? So I thought, if I didn't know this, then there are probably a lot of other people who, were in my position who also don't know. So I thought, why not, share this information, even though you could probably just find it on Wikipedia anyway. Let us just get into it. So I'm going to just go through the countries in which a visa is not required. So I won't be listing the countries that need an e-visa or kind of any special permission. I mean, I know Cuba requires a tourist card. I don't know what that is. So I'm just going to go with the countries that don't need a visa. So, and I'll also explain what not needing a visa actually means. What you see is a map of the world, and the countries shaded in a darker green are all the visa-free countries that you can visit as a South African passport holder. The areas shaded in lighter green are the countries that you can get a visa upon arrival, and the other colors are irrelevant for this video. Oh, and the red is South Africa, of course. Lesotho, Malawi, Malaysia, Mauritius, Micronesia, Mozambique, Namibia, Nicaragua. Lesotho, Malawi, Malaysia, Mauritius, Micronesia, Mozambique, Namibia, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Russia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Senegal, Singapore, Bahamas, Swaziland, Tanzania, Thailand, Trinidad and Tobago, Tunisia, Barbados, Uruguay, Vanuatu, Venezuela, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Belize, Benin, Botswana, Brazil, Chile, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Fiji, Gabon, Georgia. You can be in Georgia for a year. Like a whole year. Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti. Oh, Haiti. Honduras, Antigua and Barbuda, Indonesia, Ireland, visa not required. Okay, so I'll talk about Ireland a little bit later. Israel, Argentina, Jamaica, Kenya, South Korea, Samoa, Qatar. Yeah, So those are the visa not required countries. So now I'll explain. So each country has their own kind of time period and time frame in which they will grant you. So it could say like Argentina grants you 90 days, but they don't have to necessarily grant you 90 days. They can say, we're only going to grant you 30. So you only really find out when you're at customs and they're kind of asking you questions, because it's not just like you land and, you know, let me have my little South American holiday or my little holiday in Ireland. No, it doesn't work like that. So basically, they ask you questions. They ask you who you're going to stay with or what hotels are you staying at. They'll ask you to provide, you know, proof that you've booked the hotels. They'll ask you to provide proof of how you know this person. Oh, they will read your text messages if need be. So they will go through your phone, they'll go through your Facebook, they'll go through your email, they'll go through whatever they need to ensure that you're not there trying to illegally stay forever. So what happened to me was they went through my WhatsApp, they went through my Facebook. Yeah, I think that's all. But they like checked my conversations to be like, who is this person? Are you sure you know this person? Are you sure you're not trying to work? And I'm like, girl, I'm not trying to live in Ireland. Like, no part of me wants to live in Ireland. And she's like, we have to make sure because, you know, because of Brexit and blah. I'm like, but Brexit hasn't happened yet, girl. Like, and I'm like, I'm also just not trying to go to the UK legally. But she's like, yeah, but there's no border and blah, blah, blah. She's just like explaining. And I was like, Like a little part of me was like, well, there's no border, why not? So I would have never thought to go to the UK before she was like, even though that wasn't her intention. But anyway. So basically, they will like grill you, you know. I mean, I guess it depends on the person asking you the question, if they've had a good day. Like, if you look like a dodgy person, like if you look like you're someone who's not about to go home, you're gonna have a hard time. You just have to prove, you have to have proof of maybe a job back at home, or that you're registered at a university or school or something back at home to show that you have reasons to go back. Because if they can't kind of establish a connection with either the person you're visiting or the like a place or a person back at home, then they have no reason to think that you'll ever want to go back home. And if they can't establish a connection with the person you're visiting, they'll think that you're either lying and making it up, or that you don't actually know this person and this person is probably trying to bring you over here to work, or, you know, all those things. I mean, visa things can be very, very stressful, because I know I was like shaking and like a bit sweaty because I was wearing a big ass jacket, but also because like I was like, oh my god, because I know my boyfriend's friends actually tried to go to Ireland, and I'm not really sure what their situation was, but I think they said they were going there for work, which is absolutely illegal, because you can't like apply for work or try to look for work in a country when you don't have a work permit or a work visa. So they were arrested and put in like the cells, and they had to try find their own way, like try get someone to get them tickets back to South Africa, and if not, they would have just stayed in the jails until the country decides to deport you. So it's very, very serious. You need to make sure that you have your story in check, you have everything in order, otherwise you could be facing some jail time in a foreign country, which doesn't sound like fun. So yeah, those are, I mean, obviously you have to really check in the country how long you're allowed to stay, and you know what information you need to provide, because they can say visa free, but they'll still ask you for all the things that they would normally ask you for if you were applying for a visa. Let's say if you were applying for a Schengen visa. So you have to have travel insurance, you have to show where you're going to be staying, you have to provide proof that you can sustain yourself if you're a tourist. So they might ask you to provide your banking statement, so you have to show that you have enough money to support yourself for the stay. So what happens if they say like you can stay for up to 90 days, it doesn't mean that they'll give you the 90 days. So it might mean that they will give you the amount of days according to how much money you have. Because as soon as you don't have enough money, they don't want you to have to fall, like your well-being to have to fall on the state, because they don't want to have to support foreigners like, who are you, like ungubawa where type of thing. So they want to make sure that you're in and out, like you come, give us your money and you leave type of vibe. So you really have to make sure that you have your story together, because if you don't, you could face some serious repercussions and end up in jail, or just back on a flight home without having your little holiday in the Bahamas. So I would suggest that you do your research, because as reliable as I am, you should always check the websites of the country and its requirements specifically to people from South Africa, whatever country you're from, because as wise as I am, I may not have all the facts, or the information I may be giving you may be outdated by the time you're watching this. So I really do suggest that you do your research, and you make sure that by the time you get there, you have a little folder that has all your details, like copies of your insurance, who you're going to, numbers. You must have a checklist actually, and you must just tick everything off, so that when they get there, they see that you're ready, and you're not here to play. You're here, well, maybe you're here to play, I mean, who knows, but you really have to make sure that you have your ish together, because I had my file, I had my folder, I had everything, but still, that lady had me shook. I really thought, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I don't have a flight. I didn't even have, another thing, you have to, in most cases, have a return ticket. So you have to be you have to make sure that you have a ticket to show that you're going to be out of that country. So even if, I'm not condoning this, but let's say you're planning on going to a country and staying illegally, if you want to get in without getting caught and stuff, I would suggest you buy a return ticket, so you can, show that you're going to leave. But yeah, I'm obviously not condoning any of that. But kunzima, guys. Kunzima out here. So yeah, so with Ireland, yes, let's go back to Ireland. So with Ireland, because there's no border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, it's a bit tricky now, because the Republic of Ireland is its own country, but Northern Ireland is a part of the UK. So they have their own kind of visa things and their own rules. So someone from Botswana, for example, is visa free in the UK, so they could travel in Ireland. They can go to, the UK. They can just do all the things. Yabo Big Ben, Yabo London Eye. People like us, we're not visa free, so I can't just do that. So basically, they don't want people to kind of, sneak across from, go into Ireland as a tourist and sneak across to Northern Ireland and then kind of go willy-nilly all around the UK, painting the town red. So yeah, and they've become super strict on that. They check passports on ferries. They check, there's obviously, strong security at the airports. I know this because I was doing my research. So yeah, you just have to make sure that you have your story straight and that you don't break any rules, because what happens is, if you're caught overstaying in a country, usually if you're on your way out and they've caught that you've overstayed, they will either fine you and then kind of send you on your way, but then you'll realize that you've been banned. They'll have a big stamp on your passport saying overstay, and that might look good on you to other countries that you might want to go to, so consider that. And also, when you want to go back to that country, they might not let you in, because you've overstayed and you've shown written you're a criminal and you're likely to do it again. So I would suggest that at any cost, don't overstay unless you're planning to stay there forever, or you don't want to come back to that country again. But if you overstay in Schengen, then it's because you might be banned from the entire Schengen region. Oof, you don't want to do that, because that's a lot of countries. That's a lot of Europe that you won't be allowed to go into. In the description, I will leave a link to my different sources, and also the time period in which is basically the maximum that they give you in each of the countries. So in most cases, it's 90 days, which is a standard. In other places, they say 3 months, which is basically 90 days. And other places, it could be 1 month. And Russia, it's 6 months. And Georgia, 1 year. So, excuse me. Yeah, it obviously depends from country to country, and also depends what country you're from. But since this video is specifically directed at South Africans, people with a South African passport, I hope you found this useful, and I will see you soon. Oh, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button. Make sure that the notifications are on, so as soon as I upload a video, you can see it first. And yeah, I have lots to share with you guys. Yeah, can't wait. Alright, bye.